Alright y'all, so that was my first reaction to the album. Now it's been several days and I'm here with my final review of the album. Now that I've listened to the album like 3 or 4 times, I've sat with the album. It's been several days now, so I wanted to give you guys my final review of the album. And I feel like, you know, fittingly I have my Pose 3 Renaissance shirt on, you know what I'm saying? The box sets came in a few days ago. And Pose 3 is my favorite, so I picked Pose 3 and I will sell the other ones off, you know what I'm saying? Holla at me if you want some box sets. But yeah, man, so I've now sat with the album for several days now. I really listened to it, I rock with it. And all in all, I think during my reaction there were some tracks that I was kind of like, you know, a little iffy on. But after having heard this album through and through several times, after having really sat with the album, I will say I feel like I really rock with every track. I think the tracks I was really rocking with at first was maybe like All For Your Mind, and I think Thick and Move, and maybe some more. But I think I really like all the tracks in the album, and they all, to me, have their own unique personalities, and they're all fly, unique in their own ways, and they all feel meaningful, and like they all have a piece and a part to play on this album. So yeah, all in all, I love this album, y'all. And now that I really sat with it, I got to vibe with it. This is probably, Beyonce's one of her most eclectic albums to date. And I think one of the things I love so much about this album, speaking of how eclectic it was just her clear, I'm just so proud of like the clear dedication and intention that she used to create an album dedicated to, you know, dance and dance culture and the ballroom culture and the LGBTQ community, with the sonic direction and with the conceptual direction of this album. Like, she's really trying to be like a whole like ballroom, you know, what is it, like a ballroom mother or whatever. Like, she had that vibe going throughout this whole album, and with her dedicating to her late Uncle Johnny, who, like, you know, who inspired her in Solange with like his love of house music and his love of, you know, gay culture and ballroom culture and all that stuff. Like, you can clearly tell that this is a really special album to Beyonce, not only as this is an album that I feel like she wants it to function as somewhat of like medicine for all of us who have been going through this pandemic, but also she wants it to be a dedication to her Uncle Johnny and just the lifestyle and the music that he lived off of, that inspired him, that, you know, that also inspired her at the same time when she was young, and Solange as well. So I just love, I think this album is so carefree and so light, but at the same time you can tell it really means a lot. And I love how she really stuck with this clear, you know, direction and intention to create this album that's just a celebration of dance, you know, house music, dance culture, ballroom culture, and just, you feel that from the start to finish. And even though, you know, a lot of people who are really into like the R&B or like, you know, the hip-hop Beyonce, they might have been thrown off by that album a little bit when they first heard it. I hope you guys warm up to it, because it really is a beautiful album by Beyonce. And I think, you know, we've never had an album like this from Beyonce where it's really just an album that's just bright and, you know, dancey and housey, and I love that this is for the first time ever she really gave us an album that was in this vein, and I think she pulled it off so well. You know, when you think about it, Beyonce has done everything under the sun. Like, at this point in her career, she's done everything possible when it comes to, like, you know, things she's done, you know, musically and achievement wise. Like, she's done R&B, she's done pop, she's done country, she's done hip hop, she's done alternative, she's done gospel, she's literally done everything, and she's been in a group. Like, she's done everything you could think of musically that an artist of her caliber and stature can do. So this is the time for her to now start having fun and just playing around and experimenting and just, like, you know, just trying different things and taking risks. And you could tell this album that she was not afraid to take risks. You know, she still, you know, you could tell she was still in tune with her collaborators and her songwriters and her producers to really, you know, kind of pick and choose the right vibes, the right sounds, the right melodies, the right topics, you know, the right things to put on wax. But you could tell she was still just very much carefree, very much willing to experiment and take risks and have fun with this album. I feel like you could tell this is the album where I think really in a long time she really had fun with this album. This didn't feel like an album she had to put up for her legacy or for the times, like a Lemonade, or like for her legacy or like a self-titled, and or, you know, just to kind of get her career going like her first few albums. This is an album where she's like, no, I'm a legend, I'm a bad bitch, I know it, I know how to make music, I can do it in my sleep, and I've done everything I can do. So at this point, I'm gonna just have fun and make stuff that I never really made before, but not think too hard about it, and just have fun with it, and it's gonna be fly, and that's literally what she did. But yeah, like, this is really the time for her to have had fun and try things out while still being a perfectionist with her instrument and with her intention. And that's what she did on this album. Like, I feel like, you know, just like I said, like, Beyonce, like, even when she's having fun, you can still tell she's being a perfectionist with her arrangements, with her intention, with what she wants to say, and how she wants to say it, and how she wants things to come across, and her delivery and all that. And you could just, it's so beautiful to see a balance of, you know, someone like Beyonce who's in her early 40s, you know, coming into her own more than ever on this album, but you can tell she's like not taking herself too serious. She's having fun, just being eclectic and, you know, taking risks and doing things differently, but still making sure it's popping, still making sure it's on point, you know, vocally, production wise, your transitions, making sure everything about this album is on point, and not making sure things go off the rails just because she's having fun. And I love that she did that on this album. So amazing. So I feel like with this album, this might be the album where Beyonce's been like the most confident and relaxed ever that we've like heard from her on the album, while having like the least to say, like, you know, politically and also like personally low-key. Like, she didn't really have a lot to say. I mean, she had something to say, you know, namely, you know, her calling out Karens on was the energy. I love that line. I brought my derriers out because these Karens turned into terrorists. I love that. She's talking about, you know, voting out 45. I forgot what song that was. You know, but she has, you know, she's something to say, and she really touched on a lot of, you know, interesting touch points on our culture. But I felt like this album didn't really feel heavy with like things she had to say personally or politically. It really just felt like her, you know, her being confident and relaxed while still having some things to say a little bit, but it wasn't that deep. But even with that being the case, I still feel like this was a masterpiece. I feel like a lot of people will probably think, oh, if, you know, if this is just her talking about how much of a bad bitch she is and over some fun house beats, and it's not that, you know, it's not that great. But it's like, to me, I think this album is still a masterpiece when you think about what it set out to do, which is to really just make the world dance, make the world just, you know, have fun again, and remember what it's like to have fun with music and to be carefree and just joyous and just, you know, get into your bag and just feel yourself and feel comfortable who you are in your skin, and be proud of that, and just celebrate love and life. I feel like that's what this album really set out to do. It was so good to see Beyonce really create a masterpiece that was, you know, around that. It wasn't about a political, you know, thing, or like, you know, talking about her personal life like with Lemonade and Self-Titled and other albums. This album, while I feel like her first few albums, in terms of how fun it was, it still felt way more intentional than those first few albums. So yeah, like I said, great balance of just being hella carefree and confident, but not being too political and not being too deep with it, and still feeling like a whole masterpiece. So I love that. Alright, so now let's talk about the sonic direction of this album. I think what I love so much about this album is how, and listen, let's give a shout out to all the songwriters and the producers, you know, mainly, you know, The Dream and Nova Wave and a lot of other people, but let's salute the songwriters and the producers who really contributed their brilliance to this album, because there really were so many people that worked on this album, you know, who work in many different vibes and genres and sounds, but they all came together to give Beyonce great work. And what I love about this album so much is how it's just such an expansive body of work in terms of like the amount of genres and vibes that Beyonce has on this album, while it still felt so seamless and like one unique body of work, that where almost every song kind of felt like I don't know, every song sounded different but the same at the same time, if that makes sense. Like everything really sounded like one beautiful, great long song, but in different ways. Like every song felt like a cousin of the other song, and that's not an easy thing to do when you work with so many different people and we have so many different genres and vibes on an album. You know, I love the balance of sounds and genres on this album, you know, outside of the dance and house and like the R&B pop core that's the album. Like I feel like, yeah, the core of the album is definitely like an R&B pop and like a dance house sound. That's like the core of the album. But even outside of that, you have, you know, genres that span from things like, you know, disco to funk, gospel, bounce, hip hop, Afrobeat, and even like alternative too. Like you have so many different, you know, genres that touch this album in different places, and it's beautiful to see how that happens. But everything really sounded like one big thing. It was amazing. And speaking of that, I think also what I love about Renaissance is how much I feel like it's pulled from so many different Beyonce eras into one. You know, when you think about, so many songs felt like, you know, songs that could have been placed on other albums, but in a new, fresh way. And I feel like this album pulled from so many different previous eras, but made it new and fresh and unique. When you think about tracks like, you know, I'm That Girl and, you know, Alien Superstar, I feel like those tracks that could have been pulled right off of Self-Titled. To me, those tracks feel like they would fit right in on Self-Titled with the, you know, alternative kind of, you know, two-part, three-parter sound to it. Those feel right from that era. When you think about tracks like, you know, All Up in Your Mind, that gives me Lemonade vibes with the sound of that track, or even Self-Titled as well. When you think about tracks like Cuff It, one of my favorites, and VIRGO'S Groove with that funky, you know, that retro throwback soul vibe, that gives me 4, you know what I'm saying? So I love the vibes on Cuff It and VIRGO'S Groove. Those feel like tracks that could have fit right in on 4. And then with tracks like, you know, Plastic Off the Sofa, that gave me a very early Beyonce Dangerously in Love vibe that I loved. It gave me a very throwback Beyonce, you know, young Beyonce vibe, where she's leading her R&B back. So I love that song. And then we think about, you know, songs like Energy and Move, that gives you vibes from like the Gifts album. So, you know, with like the Afrobeat dancehall vibe as well. I love that. So yeah, pretty much like every other track on the album feels like kind of like a new vibe as well, with like more of like a dance house focus. So I love how this album feels like, you know, she's harking back to her older eras with certain songs, but still bringing in a new fresh vibe with like the dance house element as well with a lot of these newer songs. Like, you know, songs, pretty much every other song, songs like, you know, Break My Soul and, you know, Heated, Thick, America's a Problem, Pure Honey, Summer on the Songs, those all feel like newer vibes. That they all feel like a newer Beyonce. And then Church Girl feels like could have fit, I don't know, Church Girl feels like could have fit like maybe on like a Lemonade in a way, or maybe like maybe a 4, I don't know. But yeah, that does feel like an older Beyonce as well, you know. So yeah, man, love the balance of sounds on the album, and also the balance of, you know, honoring of previous eras in these different tracks as well. Really cool. I honestly don't have many critiques for this album. I really didn't have anything that to me I thought was an issue or that I didn't like. So I don't really have any of that on this album. It's not because it's Beyonce. It's just I really didn't have many things I didn't like about this album. I think the only thing maybe is it would have been cool to maybe have had like one more like unique alternative track or like a ballad type of song. We didn't really have, but then again, this album didn't really call for like a ballad, but it would have been cool to have like maybe like another type of Alien Superstar track, like one track that was like really different and weird, like one more track like that would be cool. Other than that, I don't really have any critiques of this album. And ending off, I guess lastly, I'll say that the other things I love about this album so much were definitely the transitions. The transitions, I feel like I said before, just really made this album one of the most special albums of the year. These transitions were sick. From track to track, every track flowed beautifully into the next. So that you oftentimes even know a new track has started because it was so seamless from the previous track to the next, which is amazing. But I want to give special mention to the transitions between, what was it, Cuff It, Energy, and Into Break My Soul. That 3P right there, those transitions, insane. Love it. With the, you know, Cuff It going into Energy. Energy was like a part 2 to Cuff It. And then we got like a little, you know, Afrobeat dancehall vibe in the second part, Energy. And then we start hearing like a big Freedom sample, and that goes right into Break My Soul. Like, perfect. I just love that. And damn near every transition off this album was crazy. What else was dope? Let's see. Plastic Off the Sofa going into VIRGO'S Groove. Amazing. When that VIRGO'S Groove beat dropped, amazing. Thick going into All Up in Your Mind. I love that. You know, at the end of Thick, she's like, I'm all up in your mind. And then we get the track All Up in Your Mind. Love that. And wasn't the track Heated? I also loved in Heated how, like, at the very end of Heated, we heard this, like, the rap she's saying, like, you know, oh, Uncle Johnny made my dress that she spanked, that she looks a mess. The first time I heard that song, I didn't pick it up, but it was playing throughout the whole song. And I was like, oh my God, Beyonce, like, you're fucking mine. Like, for the end of the song to be like interpolated throughout the whole track was such a cool way to like kind of like foreshadow the end of the song. Like, such a beautiful thing. Like, I love that. Pure Honey going to Summer Renaissance. Like, yeah, the transitions off this whole album are just insane. This is probably one of the albums that has some of the greatest transitions I think I've heard in a long time. It really made the album feel like a body of work that you just had to listen to from beginning to end. No skips, just let it play and let it rock. It's gonna be an experience, for real. And then lastly, to me, I feel like she went stupid with the vocal arrangements on this album. To me, that was the highlight of the album, besides production, was just how stupid she went vocally. Namely, on tracks like Plastic Off the Sofa, VIRGO'S Groove, but there was a lot of other tracks where she went stupid as well vocally. Like, this really was just an album where she really went crazy with the harmonies, with the backgrounds, with the unique sounds, like that boom, da, 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 da. What was that? Was that on Heated? I can't remember. I think it was on Heated. And she played around with, like, you know, other background, you know, singers and choirs and all that, like on Break My Soul, and I just loved how she really arranged this album vocally and arrangement-wise. I was stacked to the gods. Every track was just, you know, she found ways to like add in the coolest little ad-libs and the coolest little backgrounds and harmonies, and it just made every track sound full, and like you'll be hearing gems, you know, on repeated listens. You'll be hearing more and more stuff you never heard when you first heard the album. Like, that's the mark of a great album, is when you're hearing things after several listens that you never even caught before. And I feel like that's what's gonna happen with this album, because Beyonce put so many things, she injected so many things into each of these tracks vocally, and it's a masterclass. Like, it's Beyonce, come on, it's a masterclass, and she did that. So definitely, to me, this might be like the best showcase of her her instrument on an album as a body of work to date. I also said before, I give love to 4, and also shout out to B Day as well. She was singing her ass off on those albums. But I think just, this might be her best showcase as a vocalist in terms of just like the backgrounds, the arrangements. With this album, she killed it. So yeah, definitely she's doing her thing. She took her time to really cook these songs and make sure they came out right. So yeah, man, that's my last thing about this album. I don't have any critiques. In terms of my favorite tracks, that's hard because damn near every track is fire, every track is great off this album. I don't really have one track I don't like. I think to me the one track I'm like the least passionate about is probably Fake, but it's still not a bad song at all. It's just a song I don't like go for like that, but it's still a cool song for what it is. But my favorite tracks off this album, this is hard because I love every damn near track, but I say my favorites, my highlights, definitely Cozy. Cozy's my shit. I love that song. Comfortable in my skin, dun dun. Cozy with who I am, dun. That's my shit. I love Cozy. 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 That's my shit. Love Cozy. Cuff It. That's a new classic. That's a new Beyonce party classic. Cuff It is like the new Love on Top. It's the new party. It's her new party jam. Like Cuff It is everything. Party people roll up. You know what I'm saying? That's my shit. Energy. Shout out to Beam on Energy. I forgot to mention during my reaction, but shout out to Beam on Energy. I love Beam. He's a dude y'all guys stop sleeping on. A really cool dude. I think he's from, I feel like, is he from Jamaica? I can't remember. But Caribbean like rapper, singer dude. He's really dope. I love a song by him called 2x2. That's my shit. I love that song. Such a good song. 2x2 by Beam. Go check out that record. But Beam is dope. Shout out to him getting on this album. His voice and presence on Energy was everything. That's that call, that energy. Dun, dun, energy. That's my shit. I love Energy. It's too short. Energy is too short. Because I'm getting hyped and then it's over. I'm like, yo! Energy is too short, but that's one of my favorites as well. Break My Soul, obviously. I love that song. Plastic Off the Sofa, another highlight. She went stupid vocal in that song. That song is so cute and sweet, romantic, and just a really great musical track where she was just singing her ass off. I love the way the song's arranged. VIRGO'S Groove, oh my god, what a groove, no pun intended. The production of that song, the way it feels like an old school disco record that's just like, but still chill at the same time. VIRGO'S Groove, longest track in the album, such a vibe. I just love what it gave to the album. It gave the album like a much needed, like you know, just a funky track, you know, that's a chill, vibey track, and it needed that. And VIRGO'S Groove is everything. I love that song. Heated, to me, something to highlight. I love Heated. I like that song's really creative, and I feel like it's got a really long shelf life, so I love that song. Also, All Up in Your Mind. I wasn't even feeling it at first, but I came around to it, and that track is really dope. I love that track. Kind of reminds me of like self-titled Lemonade vibes. Love All Up in Your Mind. Love the production. Love the vibe on it. To get all up in your mind. Really cool track. Love the vibe on it. It's the only track like that on the album, so I love it. And also, Salute to America Has a Problem and Move 2. They're my favorites, but great tracks as well. So I'll salute those two tracks. And then to my other favorite, and also Purity, I'll salute that track as well. But then my other favorite is Summer Renaissance, the close for the album. A great way to close the album, great outro, one of my favorite tracks off the album. Just a great way to like kind of like summarize the album in one song as the outro, perfect. And yeah, man, I love it. I love the features on the album. I love how long the album was. It's like about an hour, not too short, not too long. 16 tracks, they're all great. Like Beyonce, you came back and you did your thing. What can I say? She came back and did her thing. In terms of like ranking the Beyonce albums, don't ask me to do it because at this point, don't ask me to do it. That's gonna be another video for another day because I can't do it. I cannot do it. But for now, we're just gonna enjoy Renaissance for what it is. How about that? Okay. And for my rating for this album, I'll give this album a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I'm not giving this album a 5 out of 5 because that's hard for me to declare for any album. But a 4 to me feel like, you know, it could have been cool, but I feel like this album was great. Damn near no skips. Every track's great. To me, it's a great body of work. One of the best albums of the year. So I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I feel like that's a fair rating, but let me know what y'all think about that rating down below. Alright, y'all, that's my reaction and my review for Beyonce's new album, Renaissance Act 1. Let me know what y'all thought about my video. Let me know what y'all thought about the album. What was your favorite tracks? What are your least favorite tracks? Do you love the album? Do you hate it? Do you think it's okay? Could have been better? Let me know what you think about my reaction about the album down below, okay? Appreciate y'all. And like I always say, guys, live your best life, drink more water, stay woke, and if you're mad or sad, go listen to your favorite song, make you feel better. Or go listen to one of these songs, it'll definitely make you feel better, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Alright, y'all, this has been your boy Bright, the R&B Kid. Thank you for watching, but for now, I'm signing off, baby. Bye, y'all. Peace.
I came to vibe, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no, 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 no. I came to fight, you came to function, just do that, baby. Don't worry about nothing, no, no, no. Relax just a little bit. You don't gotta worry, you can just